Hey everybody, welcome back to the Complete Game Podcast, episode 94. I'm host Curt Schilling. He is co-host Curt Schilling. What's going on, Bubba?
Not much. What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, not a lot since we last talked. Signings here and there. Chris Bassett, the Orioles agreed today. 1 year, 18 and a half. I guess the biggest news.
Well, Verlander's
right?
going home too.
Yeah, Verlander. Yep, 1 year deal.
Bringing his career full circle.
Yep. Where he met his future wife, Kate Upton.
As people probably don't really know that you also did, technically, right?
Yeah.
Being drafted by the Red Sox.
Yep. Probably the biggest news today is combined news. Corbin Carroll, Jackson Holliday, Francisco Lindor are all suffering from a broken hamate bone. And so for those of you that might not understand the injury, the hamate bone is a little bone in the what do they call that? The padding of your hand, and it's a little bitty hook. They call it it hooks up like this, and there's a nerve that runs under it. And the reason it gets broken a lot is because a lot of guys will hold the bat with the knob in the middle of their hand, part of it off, part of it on, and it will it'll crack. You'll break the hook of the hamate. I was talking earlier to Garrick. If you want to understand, it takes 6 weeks apparently, depending obviously on everything, but it's not major surgery. It's not a big deal. It's not hard to come back from. But in 1993, Dave Hollins broke his hamate bone. Well, it wasn't 93. It wasn't 93. I think it was another. But anyway, he broke it on like a Friday, he had surgery on like a Saturday, and literally was in the lineup on Wednesday the next week with the pin sticking out of his hand that was in there to hold the bone in place. Figuring in his mind, we were a better team with him in the lineup at 50% than we were with him not in the lineup. But yeah. So anyway, I'm wondering if all 3 of these happened, because you'll see it happen early in spring training because guys are getting back into the swing and whatnot. But I don't think all 3 of these guys broke the bone over the last couple of days or the last week. I think in Holiday's case, I think he showed up with the discomfort, and maybe in Lindor as well. And that I wonder about that, because if that was the case, then that's something that should have been taken care of in November, and you should be 100%. Some guys, you don't rest through and come back from a broken hamate by resting. You got to get it fixed. Usually they take it out. I'm not exactly sure what the alternative to removing the hook of the hamate is, but anyway, it looks like all 3 of those guys will probably not be ready opening day or around opening day. Which
one of the things that I wanted to ask about that is like, why you kind of mentioned it. Why? What would be the reasoning for? Is it something they thought they could play through until they showed up, or could it be obviously 3 different guys, 3 different reasons potentially?
Okay, so Holiday suffered the injury last week while taking batting practice. Okay, so
which would make sense for the type of injury, probably.
Carroll broke it on Tuesday during batting practice. And Lindor says with the pain in the hamate in the past, but he played through the discomfort. Yeah, he kind of showed up. I'm guessing he showed up with the problem, so he was the one I was talking about. But the other guys broke the But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but if you remember in 2007 in the offseason, when we went to Puerto Rico and you and I started playing catch and my shoulder hurt. And I told the team, this was right after I'd signed, I told the team, and they went in and I got an injection and it felt better. And then I showed up at spring training and I was still in pain, and I ended up missing the whole year because of the disagreement over the surgery. But generally, when that stuff happens, I mean, it's like hockey, right? The day after the season ends, 90% of the league goes in for like major surgery on something that was broken or torn.
What is I mean, it's a topic that gets discussed across all sports, but it is an interesting question to ask someone who actually played. What is like the standard protocol for like, oh fuck, I like twisted my ankle pretty bad there. Like, do I tell them that? Do I wait till the next morning?
Well, it depends. In the off
right?
season, it depends. If it's something, you twist your ankle in November, you don't say anything because it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
But if you're a pitcher and you're throwing, or you go to whatever, and like pitchers now getting ready for the WBC, if you're throwing and it bothers you, you go to the team immediately. If it's a sport interrupter, if you tear a hand, well, I'll give you an example. Remember when I tore my intercostal playing golf, of all things, and that would have been the end of my season, possibly the end of my career. When that happened golfing, which just shows you how out of shape I am. But that would be, you'd go to the team immediately. But like there was another. I read something today. Two other guys, veterans. Chris Bryant went on the 60-day DL with Colorado due to back problems, which he's only played 48 games in the last 2 years, and apparently he showed up and it's still a problem. They took him off the roster, put him on the 60-day IL, and that's unfortunate. And then Josh Hader, who's coming back from I want to say he's coming back from Tommy John, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds right.
But he's got some bicep tendonitis, which he missed the end of the year last year with a left capsule shoulder strain. So I actually had kind of the same thing. What happens is you throw so much, or your joint gets so lax that your shoulder capsule starts to become loose, and your shoulder capsule holds the head of your humerus in there when it rotates and all the things that do that. What happens when your shoulder capsule becomes loose, your head of your humerus starts bouncing around inside your shoulder and tears shut, breaks stuff. It's horrible. So what they'll do
I
is
don't
they'll go
like
in.
when you do these examples.
Well, what they do is they go in and they heat it up and shrink it, right? So you can imagine it's a delicate thing. They shrink it, and then you have to take time and all the things that go with that. I came back and I was fine after the surgery, but Hader is a big power guy and a max effort guy, but he's got bicep tendonitis, which generally indicates there's still some issues going on. You don't get bicep tendonitis on its own, and you get it from something else in the shoulder. So I don't think we've heard of the last of that, and I hope I'm wrong, but that generally means that there's something else going on in the shoulder. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's one of those guys I want to see him back because he's so electric. But anyway, yeah. So that's and then like I said, I mentioned earlier, Bassett signs with the O's. And we were talking earlier. That's a prop bet. Taking the O's to win it all would be a nice little prop bet. Good odds.
I was gonna say, do you want me, and we can cut this part, but do you want me to go through? I started writing down division by division the additions and subtractions, along with team odds for a World Series long shot.
Yeah. So I mean, we're at that point, right? Camps are starting. And I was actually kind of caught off guard. I didn't realize Zach Gallen still is not signed. And that's going to be one of those ones that will get probably not as much press, and it'll end up being he'll go out and win 19 games this year or some stupid thing. But a couple teams that have missed out this winter, or who haven't done the things that teams wanted them to do. I could see the Mets jumping in there. So we'll see the Red Sox.
My idea was we go division by division. So I had the American League East up first. We mentioned the Chris Bassett news today to add to that. But the first team, Toronto, is a 14-1 shot. Obviously, the World Series runner-up last year. They added Dylan Cease, Kazuma Akamoto, Tyler Rogers, and Cody Ponce. They lost Bo Bichette and Sir Anthony Dominguez, both part of their World Series roster last year. I mean, obviously a safe bet, but not great odds.
I think they're better than they were last year on paper.
I do too, and
whatever that's worth.
Without Trey Savage, we don't know what he fully is yet. So
right.
And then next up, Baltimore, who we mentioned, they're 22-1. They added Pete Alonso, Ryan Helsley, Shane Bass, Zach Eflin. I forget how you say that last name. Yeah. Andrew Kittredge, Taylor Ward, who I think is an underrated part of that.
Right. I think Alonso is going to be one of the 3 or 4 biggest movers and shakers at the end of the year. He's going to be the guy that will have one of the top impacts as long as he stays healthy. Because that's
he'll have fun there.
Yeah, line to line, he's going to go out anywhere they hit. But excuse me. He's also an energy guy. Probably brings a little different energy to the ballpark. Them Holiday will be back. The big one for me with the Orioles is Adley Rutschman done. That last year was scare me. How much he fell off. But the bigger piece is which Gunnar Henderson are you getting? Are you getting the MVP kid or the guy from last year? Both of them are good. One of them is borderline Hall of Fame level talent. The other one's a very good player.
Pete also brings experience to the locker room. Like he's
Yeah,
a true vet
right,
in that locker room. Um,
right.
they also lost Jorge Mateo and Grayson Rodriguez
Right.
for whatever that's
Well,
worth.
and the big thing when they just couldn't score. I mean, they needed pitching, obviously, and I think that they tried to address that with the Bassett signing and with some of the work they did this winter. But they need this that they didn't score last year, and that offense needs to kick it in. And I think that it will. I think it'll be closer to the offense we were looking at. They have so many damn prospects and offensive players. I think Holiday's legit. I think he ends up he's a guy that's going to get taken in the fourth, fifth, sixth round of fantasy drafts this year that probably will end up having first or second round season.
Yep. And then next up, the Sox. Boston Red Sox are 15-1. They added Ranger Suarez and poached a lot of the St. Louis Cardinals with Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray.
Right.
They got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, we mentioned last time on our last show, Lucas Giolito, Liam Hendricks, Nathaniel Lowe. But they lost Alex Bregman, Hunter Dobbins, Rob Refsnyder, just a few guys who were
Yeah,
active parts of their roster
you know
last year.
I think non-Red Sox fans would have you believe the Bregman loss was just as big, if not bigger, off the field than it was on, because I think Roman Anthony's a superstar in the making, and you're going to have him if he's healthy the whole year. I think Marcelo Meyer is a much better. He's going to have much better numbers than this year than he had last year. I think he kind of petered out. And a lot of these guys are seeing a full major league season for the first time, and it's a different animal, dude. They're in September they're generally you know enjoying a vacation somewhere or golfing, and this year they were in the thick of it. So I said that the Suarez signing was big, simply because they need the two behind Crochet and Sonny Gray. Okay, but we're talking. There are a couple teams when you talk about them, Boston being one of them, where you talk about them in the perspective of the postseason. Right? It's because anything else is if they're not in the postseason, this season's a failure. They've generated those expectations in this century, and Boston fans come to the spring every year with that. Hey, we're going to make the playoffs, assuming that Crochet pitches game one and Suarez game two. So we'll
Especially
see.
there's kicked up delusion dust in the air in Boston after the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl
Yeah,
so
yeah,
easily.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yep.
and then next up, we got Tampa at 90-1. They had Steven Matz, Cedric Mullins, Gavin Lux, lost Brandon Lowe, Shane Baz, Josh Lowe, and Pete Fairbanks. This is a long shot that you said before
Yep.
the show you actually liked.
Yeah. Well, I listen. I at 90-1, I would love a prop bet on them just because if they're 90 and 72, no one's going to be stunned. No
They're
baseball
also the
people will
team
be.
that nobody wants to see make it, so they probably will. Is the
Right.
type of vibe that whenever they're in it,
Well,
it always feels like they
and
have.
baseball with the new collective bargaining agreement and the labor negotiations desperately needs the players desperately need Tampa Bay to be in the postseason, just to offset that. Dodgers bought it, and continue to buy it, and Mets and all that stuff. So
And last but not least, the New York Yankees are plus 950. These are all DraftKings odds, by
right,
the way,
right,
for World Series long shot or World Series future, not long shots. They added Bellinger, re-signed Bellinger, I should say. Trent Grisham, Paul Goldschmidt, they all got back on the payroll. Ahmed Rosario and Ryan Weathers, they picked up as well. They
right.
lost Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Mark Leiter, but not too much for them in the offseason. I mean, they didn't need to do
No,
too much.
this was an insanely quiet winter for the Yankees. And I'm not so sure that their bullpen didn't take a bit of a gut punch. They're going to come out with arms, but we talked about this a lot last year. The bullpen is the one place where you can just completely have a turnover and just be just as good, if not better, this year as you were last year. Because the Trevor Hoffmans and the Mariano Rivera's for the most part don't exist anymore. That guy where you can say, okay, he's 40 saves, he's a lock. Devin Williams we thought was that guy. And if I got to tell you, if you look at his underlying numbers, if you're a fantasy baseball player, Devin Williams, his underlying numbers last year belied what he ended up looking like ERA wise. He had monster numbers the last couple of months, and I fully expect him to go out and save 50 games for the Mets and have a 1.18 ERA with 130 Billy Wagner numbers, 130 punch outs in 70 innings or something, because he got beat up early on, and there was a confidence issue early on, and Booney got him back in. And I think the last 3 or 4 months, his numbers were through the roof. But I
And
think
there's nobody that the Mets want to do better than a guy they got from the Yankees. So they are going to
right.
be full
And
force behind him.
And that sits on players too. I guarantee you, Devin Williams is in that city thinking, I need to make them regret not sticking with me. And then I don't blame the Yankees, but I think he's gonna have a monster season. And the big question for them is Fried's gonna come back and be himself. I fully expect him to be himself. Garrett Cole. I mean, we're talking probably June, July All-Star breakish time. No reason whatsoever to not think Garrett Cole's going to come back and be exactly what he was before, if not better. So many guys.
Garrett Cole.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the American League East. I'll put the odds right here for you guys if you want to see them. But we'll go league to league. So we'll go NL East next show, and we'll work our way towards the start of the opening day.
Yes, we will. All right.
Alrighty. Anything else?
No, we're good. Quick hit here. Let's catch up again on next Tuesday.
Alrighty.
All right, bud.
Sounds
Have
good.
A great
Thanks
week.
for listening, guys.
Take care, guys.
Love you.
Bye.